Hello and welcome to Byju's Exam Prep IAS. Welcome to the big news. The topic for today's discussion, petrol and diesel prices cut. Let us try and understand what is this topic all about. We have the central government which has announced a reduction in the excise duty levied on petrol and diesel, which will now give relief to the consumers reeling under the pressure of high fuel prices. What is the cut that the central government has made? The central excise duty will be reduced by about 8 per litre on petrol and about 6 per litre on diesel. This will reduce the price of petrol overall in the retail sector by about 9.5 per litre on petrol, and for diesel it will be about 7 per litre. So this is an initiative taken by the central government to reduce the prices of petrol and diesel so that this could ultimately help the customers. Added to it, we have the finance minister who has also requested the state governments to consider cutting the taxes as well. And if states go on to cut the taxes, this may further bring down the prices of petrol and diesel. As of now, when you consider the prices of petrol, you have the central government which will impose certain taxes. You will also have the state government which will also impose taxes as well. So in this particular case, the central government has reduced its share of excise duty and is now requesting the state governments to go ahead and reduce the prices, so the ultimate beneficiary would be the customers. But when it comes to state governments, many state governments have already initiated such steps in the past, but many have also not brought any changes in the prices of the petrol or diesel. They've not reduced any taxes, primarily because this happens to be a significant revenue for the state governments. In case they go ahead with cutting down the prices, this will also hit their coffers, and as a result, state governments in multiple states are also reluctant as well. What are the other measures taken by the central government? Customs duties on raw materials and intermediaries for the plastic goods where import dependence is high is also being cut to help reduce final product prices and assist micro, small and medium enterprises. To arrest steel prices, the government is reducing the import duty on some raw materials and levying an export duty on some steel products as well. And at the same time, measures are also being taken to improve cement supplies and spruce up logistics to reduce the cement cost. Added to it, one of the major initiatives taken by the government of India is also reduce the cylinder gas prices as well. So the government will give a subsidy of rupees 200 per gas cylinder up to 12 cylinders to over 9 crore beneficiaries of Pradhana Mantri Ujjwala Yojana. This will have a revenue implication of around 6,100 crore for the government of India. So the government of India has not only taken steps to cut down the prices of petrol and diesel, but it is also considering about the steel prices, cement prices, where you have skyrocketing prices, and ultimately the government wants to cut the price rise in all these sectors as well. Now the most important question is, why was the petrol and diesel prices increasing in the last couple of months? That is because India is 85% dependent on imports for meeting all its oil demands, and so retail rates adjust according to the global movement. What do we understand by this? In India, petrol and diesel prices are dependent on international market rates. In case there is an increase in the international market, similar increase will happen in India. In case there is a decrease in international market, things may also decrease as well if the government is allowing for the decrease. So if the rates are increased, what we will also see is the corresponding rise in India. Since in the international market, what we are currently witnessing is an increase in the petrol, and as a result, the same is also felt in India. What are the possible reasons? That is because when you consider the COVID-19 period, what exactly happened? Many countries which were the oil producing countries like Saudi Arabia, or you consider UAE or Russia, most of these countries had produced enough of oil. But then there was no demand during the COVID period, and as a result, what you also saw was drop in the petrol prices. But eventually down the lane, what you also had were vaccines, and once vaccines were given, the economy started opening, and once economy started opening, the demand also started increasing as well. So at this particular point, the petrol prices started increasing. Added to it, there were also certain other countries countries which also started reducing the output of the petrol. For example, you consider Saudi Arabia, or you consider many other countries, the primary oil producing countries, these also started producing less amount of oil, and as a result, what happened, the prices of petrol started increasing. Not only that, the major factor these days happens to be the war in Europe, which also disrupted supply chains and commodity prices, causing inflationary pressure across the world. India, though dependent on the Russian oil, is comparatively less, but the major factor is that you have the supply of these oil from major ports in Europe, which were all restricted. They were not able to send it out outside the Black Sea area, and ultimately this meant that for the entire world and especially for India, the petrol prices started increasing. Added to it, do note, we have the public sector oil marketing companies which revise the retail prices of the petrol and diesel according to changes in the international market. So we have other factors stepping in, for example the exchange rate, the tax structure, inland freight, additional costs. Dealers also play a major role in deciding the price. The central government imposes certain taxes, state governments impose certain taxes. All of this meant that for the last few months, what we saw was petrol and diesel prices skyrocketing. So if you look into this particular graph, India's dependence on the Russian oil was comparatively less in 2013-14, 15 and 16, but it started increasing from 2017-18, 2019-20, and it increased during the 2021-22 period. And if you look into the price rise with respect to what was happening in Delhi, there was a sudden spike of the prices. Why were they increasing? As we just discussed, there are multiple reasons for the same. One is what is happening in Europe, Russian invasion of Ukraine. Added to it, everything started opening, so demand started increasing, and many countries also cut down on the production as well. So this meant that there was exorbitant prices in the international market, which ultimately meant the prices was also increasing in India. So what we saw was a skyrocketing prices for petrol as well as diesel, and it also went beyond 105 rupees as well. So in order to make sure that these prices come down, what we have is the central government right now, which has reduced the prices of both petrol and diesel. Now if you look into the statistics further, whenever there is rise of petrol, what would happen? It would hit every other sector. How? Let's say for example, we have the logistics sector. What is the logistics sector? You have to move one of the goods from one place to another, or you have to move food items from one place to another, or you have to move some of the goods from one place to another. What you require is the trucks, and these trucks run on the diesel as well. So whenever you have this petrol prices or diesel prices increase, this will ultimately hit the logistics sector. So whenever it hits the logistics sector, this will also impact the food sector as well. This will also impact multiple other sectors as well. So what you actually witness is that the food index has been rising since October 2021. In January 2021, it was at 2, and what we are currently witnessing in April is about 8%. Added to it, when we consider the prices of other goods, oil and fats, they have significant inflation. Vegetables also have significant inflation at 11.6%. Footwear at 11.3%. Meat and fish 9.6%. Clothing 9.1%. Personal care 8.7%, spices 8.5%, transport and communication 8%, household goods and services 7.7%, food and beverages all at 7.5%. So this basically meant that what we are living in is through an inflation. So this is not only at the CPI level, but this is also at the WPI level. At the WPI level, it is about 15.8%. At the CPI level, it is about 7.79%. And if you look at the RBI tolerance, it has to be ideally between 2 to 6 or between 2% to 6%. It has to waver in that particular period, but we have moved apart from this particular threshold. Ideally, when you look at the inflation target set by the Reserve Bank of India, it is 4% plus or minus 2%. So it has to waver anywhere between 2% to about 6%. But what is the CPI right now? It is about 7.79%. So the inflation is also comparatively high on the CPI front, and the wholesale inflation is also staggering at about 15.08%. So this basically meant that it was not only the petrol which was hitting skyrocketing prices, but it also meant the CPI and the WPI was also hit indirectly because of the petrol and diesel prices. There are many other factors that are involved, but one of the factors which also contributed to it happened to be petrol and diesel. So in order to bring the inflation down, in order to bring the petrol and diesel prices down, in order to make sure that customers benefit from it, we have the central government take up this particular initiative. So what will be the cost for the government? When you consider the excise duty collections for the year 2019 and 20, it was more than 2 lakh crores. For the year 2020 and 21, it was more than 3 lakh crores. And for the year 2021 and 22, it was once again more than 2 lakh crores. And with this particular drop in the prices that the central government is undertaking, it will have a revenue implication of around 1 lakh crore per year for the government of India. But why did the government of India take up this particular initiative? That is because the center's move to slash the excise duty on petrol and diesel is aimed at countering the inflation in the country, which is why we have the Prime Minister of India who goes on to say it is always people first for the government. Today's decisions, especially the one relating to a significant drop in petrol and diesel prices, will positively impact various sectors, provide relief to our citizens, and further ease of living. So this will bring relief to the household incomes as they were hit by the inflation. It is this that we have to understand with respect to this topic. So that's it for today. Thank you for watching. All the best.